Hello everybody and welcome to Chicago's Cars, where we visit Chicago area car shows and highlight some of the coolest rides. I'm Ken, your host, and today we're in McHenry, Illinois at the Fiesta Days car show. Fiesta Days. You know, I kind of feel like I should be wearing like a sombrero or something. Yeah, that's not quite what I had in mind. Well, anyway, yeah, terrific. Let's, we're gonna go check out some cars. Over here, they're all coming in, and I feel kind of awkward, but I'm kind of hungry at the same time. So we saw some classics rolling in. We saw some hot rods rolling in. We saw a bike or two rolling in. Saw some cool trucks rolling in. And then comes this big Winnebago. I was like, what the heck is this? But it's cool. There's an old Winnebago here. Got some Volkswagens. Anyways, I can stand here and tell you all day about what kind of cars are here, but that's kind of dumb now, isn't it? So let's take a walk around, have a look, meet some people, and learn the stories behind their rides. This 1958 BMW Isetta is owned by Steve of Coralville, Iowa. The Isetta is an Italian-designed microcar built under license in a number of different countries under as many different badges, but all had one thing in common. Because of its egg shape and bubble-like windows, it became known as a bubble car. Germany's BMW version was built from 1955 to 1962 and was outfitted with a one-cylinder, four-stroke 247cc motorcycle engine which generated a whopping 12 horsepower. Although the major elements of the Italian design remained intact, BMW re-engineered much of the car, so much so that none of the parts between a BMW Isetta Moto Coupe and the original Italian version Isetta are interchangeable. In 1955, the BMW Isetta became the world's first mass production car to achieve a fuel consumption of 78 miles per gallon, and it was a top-selling single-cylinder car in the world with 161,728 units sold. Whew, what a mouthful. Let's talk to Steve now about his BMW Isetta. We're with Steve with his 1958 BMW Isetta. That thing's in remarkable shape. And he came all the way from Iowa with it. Steve, tell us about your Isetta.
Okay, this is a 1958 that I've had since I got it in 1987, restored it for took me 3 or 4 years, but I've had it done for almost 30 years, and it's pretty nice shape. It's pretty good. It's fun to drive. It's just a nice little around town car, and we like to take it out to shows and so people can see it.
Now, I take it coming from Iowa, you probably didn't drive all this way with your wife in there.
No, we this time we brought it on a trailer, and we usually do when we go a long distance from home. We'll bring it on a trailer, but we do drive it around for local shows and things like that. But it's not too practical on the interstates and stuff.
I wouldn't think so, and I don't think it would be all too comfortable for a 3 or 4 hour drive. God, I probably wouldn't fit in that thing. I'm not going to try getting in it. I'll probably break something. What kind of engine's in there?
It's a one-cylinder. It's a 13 horsepower. It's only 300 cc. It'll do about 50 miles an hour though. It's fine for that. Drives fine. Yeah.
Really? It's a 50 cc?
No, 300 cc.
Oh, 300 cc. Yeah. God, what is wrong with me? I'm starting already. We're just starting the show, and I'm starting already. It's got a 300 right on the front, so I guess it's already telling us that. Was this original colors?
No, it originally was a blue and white. I changed it to the red and white when I finished it, yes.
So then you also did the upholstery and whatnot?
Yes. All the upholstery's been done. Everything's been done. It's been gone through completely. So.
Well, that's really fun. I'm digging it. I like the little headlights. Did you have to replace any of the chrome, the headlights and all that?
Quite a few of the chrome stuff has been replaced. I'm able to find everything. Its parts are out there. You can find them, so it worked out fine. Yeah.
Well, that's neat, and we appreciate you sharing it with us today.
Thank you very much.
You and your wife have a great day.
We will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This 1930 Model A rat rod is owned by Ryan of Wonder Lake. We have a few rat rods at today's show, and rather than getting into the Model A itself, let's focus on what this car has become. A rat rod is a custom car with a deliberately worn down, unfinished appearance, typically lacking paint, showing rust, and made from parts a person of little resources can easily attain. These parts can include non-automotive items that have been repurposed, such as a wrench used as a gear shift lever, license plates as rocker panels, or even hand saws as sun visors. No matter how it's created, the rat rod is limited only by its builder's imagination. Some creators of rat rods are often offended by the name rat rod, prefer to call their car a hot rod, genuine hot rod, but as we'll see, Ryan embraces it. Let's talk to Ryan now about his 1930 Model A rat rod. We're with Ryan with his 1930 Model A rat rod. This thing is so interesting and there's so much to it. God, we got a lot to look at. Ryan, tell us about this.
So it's a 1930 Model A, custom frame, twin turbo, 12 valve, comes out of an 89 W250. The rear end's on airbags. I got a 3/4 ton Duramax rear end. The kegs are gravity fed, so I have a 30-gallon tank on the back with the kegs. The radiator is out of skid steer.
Holy cow.
180 decibel train horn. Yeah, it's fun to drive.
A train horn. I was looking at the horns and I was actually kind of curious what the horns were. Did you ever check what horsepower this is putting out?
No, it's not much. So I have a Ford C6 gas trans behind it. So I'm not able to push crazy power because I only have like a 14, 16-inch drive shaft. So if I went with a diesel transmission, I'd almost be yoke to yoke. So I can't throw a crazy amount of power at it, but it's just fun to look at and drive.
Oh my God, it is. Let's take a walk back and have a look at a little more. Joe's going to follow us. What's this wrench for in the door?
So this wrench is actually, I was a union iron worker and I blew my back out. And this wrench is actually my original spud wrench from when I started. And the linkage is ran from the transmission, comes up down here. And it's actually welded piece of flat stock with this square on it, and it fits right in the linkage so you could actually shift. And then it's park, reverse, neutral, and drive.
So your wrench you got sitting in there that looks like a door lock is actually your gear shifter. I've never seen anything like it. That is creative.
Yeah, the door locks itself, but this is just an added feature so it can't go nowhere.
Just try stealing this man's car. Just try. You won't even get it in gear, sucker. That's I love it. What's with the license plates on the bottom?
The guy who built it is actually Cody Payne out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, from Headstone Hot Rods. He built it for the Rat Rod original patina build-off in Oklahoma, Nebraska, and he actually took 5th out of 54 cars, I believe. And so he went with all the old school Iowa license plates to wrap around the bottom.
No kidding. Isn't that the competition where you have only so many hours to build?
Yeah, so many hours, and you actually have to use sponsorships. So all of the stickers on the kegs are actually everybody who donated to this build. And he actually just did one up in Wisconsin, and he actually took first place.
Wow, that's really interesting. I can't believe it. This car's remarkable.
Thanks.
You named her Martha. How
Yes.
come Martha?
I don't know, it just stuck out. It's a 1930 Model A. Martha's an old name, so I figured it went well together.
Yeah, well, it does. I kind of like that. I figured it might be a grandma or something. What do we got on the back bumper?
So the back bumper and the front bumper are camshafts out of a Max Semi. The rear bumper is held on by pipe wrenches, welded to the C-notch because the rear end's on bags. The front camshaft is held on by connecting rods out of a small block Chevy.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I was looking at the camshafts. I knew they were camshafts, but I had no idea what they were out of. All I knew was they weren't out of a 2010 Honda. Ryan, thank you so much for showing us your ride.
Yeah,
We
you're
appreciate you talking to us.
Thank
And
you.
you have a great day. This 1978 Dodge D150 Little Red Express truck is owned by Eddie of Woodstock, Illinois. I'm not going to lie, I was excited to see this truck. They're cool, they're different. It was something that you got from the factory that was kind of custom looking. And most of all, I had a Matchbox car when I was a kid that was very similar to it. With the same stacks, not the same color, didn't say Little Red Express on the side, although there were stickers on the side that are missing. Anyway, let's get back to this truck. The 1978 Little Red Express truck became an icon of power as it used a free-breathing Police Interceptor engine with a 4-barrel carburetor that was 30% larger than most other cars of this era, a high-rise aluminum intake manifold, and a free-breathing exhaust system that boasted twin stacks that were a good 2.5 inches in diameter. The interior was much more appealing than a standard pickup. The seat was available in both bench and split bucket seat arrangements. The standard gauge cluster and steering wheel were muscle car styled options and were not available on the normal trucks. Design and engineering of the Little Red Express truck was credited to Tom Hoover, Dick Maxwell, and Dave Koffel, who worked with the product planning and performance group. They used the standard short wheelbase step-side pickup for its light weight. Now, let's talk to Eddie about his Little Red Express. We're with Eddie with his 1978 Dodge D150 Little Red truck. Eddie, tell us about this thing. I love these. I had a Matchbox car that was actually silver that I got probably in that year. Tell us about it.
So it's a 1978 Dodge D150 Little Red Express, like you said. They were from the factory. This is pretty much a stock truck. The wood size wasn't a wood bed, but they had a metal bed. This one's got wood in it. But it did have the wood around the sides. It's got the dual exhaust, as you can see. That was from the factory. The 1978 was at the time was said to be the fastest production vehicle that was being made at the time. Not anymore, but obviously. It's got a 360 motor, police motor in it. They made it for 2 years, 1978, 1979. They made a little over 2,000 of them in 78. I'm thinking it was 5,000 in 79. It may have been 3. I'm not 100% sure of the number for 79. There's a few differences between the two of them. 79 had dual quad headlights on the front instead of the round ones. The park lights were in the balance there. The hood changed, went from the hood with the dimples in it to being raised up so the water wouldn't collect in it. They put catalytic converters on them in 79. They changed the speedometer from 100 to 85, and they changed the tail lights in the back of it. That was basically the only changes between the 2 years. The biggest one, as far as performance, would be the addition of the catalytic converters. I've had this one about 2 years. And I mean, I love it.
I do too. I mean, it brings back so many memories with my silver Matchbox car. God, I always had so many questions about these. It's cool to know now that it was really not only looked cool, but it was fast. It's good to know it was 2 years. Obviously, from what you just said, the 78's the better year. And I always wanted to know if those pipes were real or if they were just like props.
Well, they're functional.
Let's have a closer look at the back end. So this has a wood bed in it. Oh, you know what? We'll look under the hood first, since Eddie opened the hood. And the air cleaner's even marked, Little Red Express. Or what does it say? It says 360 Express. And I like the chrome air filter cover they put on. My taco's making a shadow in the engine bay. I'm sorry, Joe. Just so you know, I don't make it a habit of going around wearing tacos on my head. This was our camera guy's idea. He made me do it. So I'm going to blame it on him all day. Okay, so the stacks are real. Is it loud?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and then wood. Now, it's obvious someone had to refinish this wood, do you think?
I just did this over the winter. That was my winter project, of the wood on the sides and in the back of the tailgate. The wood in the bed is my winter project for this coming winter, so it needs to be redone.
Do you know if this is the original 1978 wood?
Not really. I suspect it's probably not, but it's possible. Like I said, I've had it for 2 years, and it had a older restoration on it when I got it, so I don't really know if it's the original or not.
I wouldn't know the difference myself, but I can say it does look beautiful. The interior looks really straight. It's really a nice truck. It's fabulous. Eddie, I appreciate you sharing it with us.
No problem. Anytime.
You have a great day.
You too.
This 1929 Ford Rat Rod was created by Rich of Ringwood, Illinois. This is another example of a rat rod that just blows me away, displaying Rich's artistic creativity and craftsmanship. These are the types of cars you have to view and appreciate differently from your stock, restored, or resto mod cars. Whenever you see a rat rod, you need to take a real close look and scan it over with your eyes very carefully, because many times you'll keep finding more and more hidden Easter eggs than you ever expected, just like I kept finding on Rich's ride. Matter of fact, let's go over it with him now. Joe, Rich has his hero pose going on. We're with Rich from Ringwood with his with his 29 Ford. Did you build this?
Pretty much. The biggest part of it. Bought the rolling chassis from a retired gentleman in Iowa about 3 years ago, and him and his late brother collected parts and bodies and such, and decided to start trying to put them together, and he never finished anything.
Were they with the mafia? They collected bodies?
No, different kind of bodies.
But car bodies.
Yes,
oh.
Yeah. And like I say, he was, I think 3 years ago, he was 89, so almost 90 years old. And he said, we started these and could never finish them. So I was lucky enough to find one, and I went up, and as a matter of fact, he's got another one I'll probably go up this summer and buy. So just projects that had been started, and he never had the money or the time to finish them.
Wow, that's actually kind of fun. So you get to start off what he started, throw in your own creativity.
Yeah, a great individual to start with. As a matter of fact, we put his brother's name over my left shoulder in the ceiling in there, in the roof, with angel wings on it, because he missed his brother, obviously, and his brother started the whole project. So it's kind of cool, and I don't mind buying projects like that somebody hasn't finished if there's a good storyline behind it and they're good people.
Yeah, and that's why we do the show, because we love the good stories and meeting the people, because the people are, everything that's happening to the cars, it's history happening from people, and we're only the current caregivers of them, aren't we?
Exactly. And like we said this morning, pulling in, it's nice to be in something it's a 1929 that still rattles down the road and gets a lot of respect, and people enjoy them,
I really enjoy it. Give us a tour. I want to start with the grill.
Grill is a 1942 Willys. This is the front of it anyway. Original Model A style front end with the disc brakes and stuff up front. A lot of stock car parts on here because John, the gentleman that originally started, him and his brother raced stock cars for years, and he had stock car motors, stock car rear ends, which are bulletproof. And so I bought a lot of parts from him for stock cars, which were, it's got Willwood disc brakes, all four corners. The wheels I bought from a guy in Southern Illinois just because I wanted a little sparkle on it. It's got an 8-inch chop top. I made the tip-out windshields in it. And I'm always buying, I'll go to garage sales and buy steel, whether it be wrenches or anything I can find that's steel because I like to fabricate and weld. So you just start putting parts together. But at any rate, it's like I say, they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun, and people always enjoy them because there's always something to look at on them.
How did you even get the license plate crusty? That is such a cool touch.
Well, I did that too, right down to the 2 different bolts on the license plate. And people look at show cars, which I've had show cars all my life, and they're polishing and polishing. And I go, the rat rods are a different breed because you don't have to polish on them. You can enjoy them without all the work. And like I'll put different bolts in each one. It's easy enough to put 2 chrome bolts on, but if it's a rat rod, you put 1 of each on just because people will go, why did that guy do that? And it all kind of flows. But yeah, I bought the plates, Illinois plates, and I couldn't just put nice shiny plates on, so I had to paint them up and patina them so they look old.
So you painted it to patina like old and rusty crusty.
There's been people that go, you can't deface a plate like that. And I go, you know what? I've been doing this all my life, and if a cop stops you because you got paint on your plate, you've got more problems than paint on your plate. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. God, I forgot what I was going to ask. I like the front leaf spring.
Yep. And like even the old lunchbox on the side, people go, is it a real
that what
lunchbox?
that is?
Well, it's an old lunchbox. I found it on eBay or something, and it's actually a toolbox. And when people go, what's in there? I go, well, the big thing that's in here is my fuel gauge. Because this is the fuel gauge, I stick it down and see how much gas is in it. So everything has a purpose.
That's definitely a rat rod for sure. Let's take a walk back. Let's have a look, see what else. Did you look at the rear view mirrors, Joe? Did you see the rear view mirrors with the skeleton hands on there? Now, what are all the tubes we have coming up from the air filter?
Well, I had a different intake on here a couple years ago with quite an elaborate intake setup I had on here, and I had the tubes running to it like an old still. When I decided to get some fuel mileage out of it and put a regular carburetor on it, I had to do something with all the tubes, so I just retrofit them to that. And everybody goes, does it have nitrous? And I go, no, it doesn't have nitrous. But, so yeah, that's how they came about.
Now, who did the disturbed mental hospital on the side? Is
my
that
girlfriend is an artist. She does custom airbrush painting, and she does all my lettering. She did the dragonfly up on top. That's her signature. And I had to do Disturbed Mental Hospital, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, because that's the White House, as we all know.
I'm noticing as we... I'm like, you're pretty funny. I'm noticing as we go, I'm seeing more details. So you actually have bars on the back window and the handcuffs.
That's how it started, because I put the bars in the windows. I actually have a straitjacket that I don't have in it now. And the whole mental hospital came along after the bars in the windows because it all kind of ties together for this theme. Yeah. And then she pinstriped it to look old, like it was pinstriped 30 years ago. But like I say, it's really a nice driving car because the frame was all custom jig welded, and 4-wheel disc brakes, a good rear end in it. It drives down the road at 80 miles an hour like a normal driving car.
You know, you really have to appreciate something like this because even though it isn't shiny and all pretty, there's a ton of blood, sweat, and tears, and especially creativity that's put into these. I don't know how the judges, God, we saw the judges. They're having people put on their wipers and everything.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They're serious around here.
It doesn't work.
Do you got a hand crank in it? They're serious around here. So how do you possibly judge something like this? The seat looks actually, I changed channels really quickly. The seat looks actually quite comfortable.
It is.
I like that big padded armrest.
Yeah, I did that over the winter to get a little comfort in it because I had just 2 bucket seats in it, and we put a lot of miles on this one. I drive this more than any car I've got. And I said I'll make it a little more comfortable where we can actually cruise down the road and be in somewhat comfort. So
now, there was a guy that we met not too long ago. Actually, it was this year that had a chop top like this. Mm-hmm. He said he couldn't see the stoplights, so he put a glass up here. So if he was the first in line at the light, he could see the light. Do you have a problem with the stoplights?
I do. I find myself trying to hang my head out the window more times than none. And luckily, my girlfriend is short, so she can actually see most of the lights, and she'll go, okay, it's time to go.
See, it's always good to have her with. The co-pilot. She's the co-pilot. Yeah, I wouldn't fit my taco hat out the window so I could see. So the steering wheel's just hanging on the right, and you have to take it out to get in and out?
No, I just take it off because it's silly, you know.
I'm wearing a taco hat. I'm a very serious person. I don't understand silly.
See, I do the whole silly thing just because life's too short to be serious.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Very
we
good.
appreciate it.
Very good.
It's
Thank
good
you.
meeting you, and watch for us on TV. This 1967 Ford F-100 is owned by Evan of McHenry, Illinois. The fifth generation of the Ford F-Series was produced from the 1967 to 1972 model years. Built on the same platform as the fourth generation F-Series trucks, the fifth generation had sharper styling lines, a larger cab, and expanded engine options. The 1967 F-100 cab is 3 inches wider than its predecessor. The frame is also heavier and a little more heavy-duty. The grille, exterior trim, interior cab fittings, and engine choices are all unique to the 1967 model year, and its trim levels were base, custom cab, and Ranger. Now, let's talk to Evan about his 1967 Ford F-100 and check out what he's got surprising us under the hood. We're with Evan with his 1967 Ford F-100 with a massive turbocharger on it. So no, this is not completely stock, although the body looks like it. Evan, tell us about your ride.
It's a 1967 F-100 Ranger Sport, factory bucket seat truck. Came with a big block 4-speed. I ended up swapping out to a small block Ford, a little bit of boost, a few performance parts. The front suspension is all Crown Vic swap. The rear is factory leaf springs, Caltrax, and a Curry 9-inch.
Is that a Panther suspension? What year Crown Vic?
Crown Vic, it's like 90s Crown Vic.
Yeah, that would be the Panther platform. Very good platform to put it on. And that's a 351 Windsor, you said.
Yep, 351 Windsor. It's got Holley fuel injection, Holley timing control, Hyperspark. It's a great setup. It's been a real fun ride.
It looks like a real fun ride, and it looks comfortable too. You got them buckets in there. I like that. How long ago did you get this?
I've owned it 3.5 years.
Did you put the buckets in? Were they there?
No, it's factory seats came in it.
No way.
Yeah.
Those buckets.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome on there. The paint, you told me it was probably resprayed at one time, but was this original color?
Yeah, it's an original color. It's slightly off. You can see some spots it's a little more orange, which would have been the factory color. But for the most part, it all matches up pretty well. Did some rust repairs and had it blended back in. Otherwise, it's pretty much how I got it, minus all the performance stuff.
Was the original engine in it? I can't remember what you were just saying. Was the original engine in it?
It was a 390 big block 4-speed truck originally.
That's what was in it when you got it.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, then you pulled that. All right. I'm kind of brain fried. I get the taco's doing it. Today I'm blaming it on the taco. I got a taco on my head, making me forget everything going on. And someone just came by and said that they see you around town with it all the time. So you drive it a lot, don't you?
Oh yeah, she gets some miles on her. I drive it to work all the time, and I just take it to all local shows, take it to ice cream with the old lady every now and then. Get some miles on it.
Is it a grocery getter?
I wouldn't go that far. Now with today's gas prices.
Yeah, Besides, everything will probably fly out the bed.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, it was good meeting you.
Good meeting
Thanks
you,
for
sir.
showing us your
Thank you.
truck.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes a fine auto is left to rot out in the middle of a field where it's beyond repair, or a proper restoration is far more costly than the car will ever be worth. Then a guy like Eric from Underline comes along and pulls it out of its weedy grave and saves it and makes it into something he can enjoy on his budget. Can this 1951 Bentley win the Concours d'Elegance? Probably not. But is it beautiful in its own rights? You bet it is, and I give Eric big props for rescuing this historic ride and getting it back on the road where it belongs. Now, let's talk to Eric about his 1951 Bentley. All right, we're with Eric with his 1951 Bentley. Holy crap, Eric, tell us about this thing.
33 years ago, the guy emptied his daughter's savings account for college and bought this car. Drove it for 2 days, threw a rod in the motor, and let it sit outside for 33 years.
33 years? Who does this to a Bentley?
Who does it? I asked him, I said, did your daughter go to college? And he goes, oh yeah. So she went to college. But yeah, who does that to a Bentley? And I saved it. I've spent 9 months on it, and I put an LS motor in it, a 4L60 trans, 9-inch Ford rear end, Mustang 2 front end, and the thing drives like a dream. But, you know, I'm a poor man in a high-end kind of a crafty thing, you know.
Does that sunroof open and close? Do you close that?
It does. After 4 months of lubricating it, I finally got it. But that was the culprit in the whole thing, because the roof leaked, which destroyed the interior, which rotted out the floors. So there's new floors, new Mercedes-Benz interior in an English car.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's sacrilegious, I think.
Well, I think BMW owns Bentley now, so that's okay.
Oh, does it really? Oh,
Yeah, so that's okay.
I'm liking it.
So I like that you didn't do any kind of special paint job or anything, because it is what it is. It's a car that sat for 30-something years. You rescued it, and you got it to a point where you can drive it. You got any future plans for it?
I'm 73, and do I have 2 more years to tear it down, paint it, and put it back together? Kind of unlikely. I think I'll be going sailing.
Sailing, take me away. Yeah, to where I'm going. You know what? I like it the way it is.
A lot of people do, and I do too.
We've already done a couple of rat rods, couple crusty cars, and you know, I wasn't going to do another one, but then we spotted your Bentley and went, God, we got to find out about this Bentley.
Doesn't get much more crustier than that, but you know, unfortunately. But it's structurally strong and goes down the road very well.
And she's up and running and looking fine.
Looking fine. This is like my 3rd car show since its birth, its rebirth. I don't know.
And I bet you've never had a guy with a taco on his head come up to talk to you about it, did you?
Taco, yeah, but yeah, no. You're the first. And I don't know where this is going to air, but I'm sure it'll be somewhere on the internet, way back in the internet, you know.
Well, I'll give you a card so you can find it easily, but we appreciate you sharing your Bentley with us. It's a cool story.
I love it. Thank you.
This 1963 Austin Healey 3000 Mark II BJ7 Sports Convertible is owned by Fred. The 3000 Sports Convertible Mark II was launched at the end of August 1962. It was a true convertible with almost salon car comfort, and Austin Healey claimed it could exceed 115 miles per hour. Let's talk to Fred about his 1963 Austin Healey. With Fred and his 1963 Austin Healey. Fred, tell us about this. He's got a lot to say.
Well, I've had the car for 48 years. When I got it, there was weeds growing in the back and holes big enough you could crawl through it. It's the first of the convertible models, which is the last series on these cars. These cars were made between 1953 and 1967, and the series encompasses 6-cylinder cars, 4-cylinder cars, 2-seater cars, 4-seater cars, convertibles, and roadsters. Total production on all of them was 72,000. I enjoy it. Jane and I drive around on summer nights on it, and now you probably know as much about the Healeys as anybody else.
And now, let's see. So you said it was built in '63, and
Yeah.
you were telling me something more about the model years.
Healey didn't use model years. They used series numbers, and this particular series was made between February of '62 and November of '63. Total production in '63 was about 3,500.
Okay, very interesting. Let's see, we got a 4-speed in there. What's that cranky deal up on the dashboard?
Well, I've heard a lot of theories on that, from cranking up the hood to cranking open the door. It's a map light. If you pull
Are
it
you
out
kidding?
like this, it lights up and you can read a map and you can close it.
I'm thinking it's some kind of a crank. I feel really silly now.
As far as the 4-speed, it's actually a 6-speed. There's a electric overdrive right here that'll shift in another transmission behind it, and you have 2 extra speeds, third over and fourth over.
Is that stock that way?
Most of the cars have that, but it wasn't stock. You had to order it. Heater was optional. Everything was optional.
Okay, but it was an option. It was something that
Yeah.
came with the car if you wanted it.
That's correct, sir.
I never heard of such a thing. You learn something new every day. This is why we stop and talk to people about their cars.
Well, I hope somebody enjoys listening about it.
They sure will. I appreciate you spending time with us.
Thank you, sir.
And you guys enjoy your day.
You too.
This 1962 VW Bug is owned by Paul of Spring Grove, Illinois. There's so much history to VW, and we kind of all know what it is, so let's just dive right in and talk to Paul about his 1962 VW. We're with Paul with his 1962 VW Bug, and he's got a lot to tell us about this little rascal. Paul, it's all you.
Hi, how are you?
We're doing good, buddy. Tell us about your ride.
Excellent. It is a 1962 Volkswagen Beetle. This particular car was imported into Los Angeles, California in November of '61. It lived a little bit of its life in California and went to Texas, and then came back to California before I got the car and restored it.
How long ago did you get it?
2018, 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Was it in this condition? This thing's gorgeous.
No, the paint was done, but the rest of the car was not. I had to go through the car tip to tail and do everything from the brakes, the wheels, tires, complete interior, motor, clutch, new transmission. Everything's been touched or redone on the car.
Wow, did you do the interior as well?
I did the interior as well, yes.
Okay, well, let's start over on the passenger side here because we're really interested in your cooler. Is that something you added on?
It is. It was a common option in that era, in the late 50s and early 60s. Some people have called it a swamp cooler, as it's known as. And in the center of that is a wicking material that you would get wet. There's a little door on top. You can see the actual wicking material inside. It has a ratcheting mechanism so that you can spin the barrel inside, get it wet, and then as you went down the road, the air would pass through that wicking material into the cabin of the car and cool it down a few degrees. Now, in a climate like Chicago, where it's really humid, wet in the fall and in the late summer, not really a great option. But in an arid climate like Colorado or Arizona, it would be great, and it actually worked.
It takes all your view out of the passenger window, though. I could
does.
see that as being kind of dangerous, isn't
A
it?
little bit of a blind spot, yes. I personally would never drive with it on this car because this is the original glass from 1962.
Yeah, I'd be afraid of the glass breaking as well. That's just a crazy option, though. That's just a crazy thing to see. Who made that? Was that made by like an additional company, or was that something you could get through VW dealer?
No, it was not an authorized VW option. There's several manufacturers that made those. This one is a Seabreeze. There's also Thermocool, and there's a couple different manufacturers that made them in that time frame.
I got it. Did you do the interior?
I did. The interior was completed by myself. Completely stripped out. Floor pan is original in this car. So is the wiring harness. There's still several very old, vintage, original parts on this car. The interior, though, was all completely redone from the ground up.
Let's move to the back, Joe. Tell us about the blinds. You got blinds in the back window.
I do. Those are actually a functional option that you get from Volkswagen dealers. The problem that they noticed in those years of cars in the early years was the slope of the window caused a lot of sunlight to come through in the back, and it would bleach out the back of the seat or the luggage or the carpet area. So they came up with this option. These blinds actually shield it from the sun, and if you look inside now, you can see there's absolutely no sun getting in.
It looks, yeah, I see that. It looks kind of like we're looking at a camper window or something. I was almost wondering, you wouldn't have enough room to really sleep or camp in here. And speaking of camping, now we've got a trailer on the back. Tell us about the trailer.
The trailer is a 1958 Allstate single-wheel trailer. This was offered from Sears out of their catalog, and in 1958, you can see I have an ad there. It was $78.50 delivered to you.
No kidding. And was the matching luggage part of a Volkswagen thing, or did you just happen to be able to find luggage to match?
Well, this is made by Schrader Company, which is actually the company that came out with the Samsonite luggage, and that is period correct luggage. It was not with the car when you bought it, but it was period correct for the
Honest to God, I think my parents had that exact same luggage. In fact, it might still be in my mom's cubby hole underneath her front foyer. What's on the back? Is that a cooler under there?
Yes, that's a cooler.
And that's probably period correct as well.
That was a J.C. Higgins cooler.
J.C. Higgins. That's a J.C. Higgins cooler, people. Not one of them cheap ones like you get today.
No.
Hey, Paul. I say silly things sometimes. Paul, it was really great meeting you. Thanks for showing us your Volkswagen. Is that original engine, by the way?
It is. It's a 1200cc, 40 horsepower original motor for that period.
What's your top speed on here? Pulling a trailer.
Pulling a trailer, I wouldn't do more than 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either. I might be afraid to do over 50. All right, well, Paul, it's a spectacular car. I love the matching trailer idea. Really enjoy the whole thing, and we appreciate you sharing it with us.
Thank you very much.
This 1930 Model A belongs to Bruce from Aurora. In contrast to the Model A Rat Rod we looked at earlier, I would probably classify this one as more of a refined hot rod, with its mirror-like paint job with chameleon ghost flames, stylized grille, tidy Hemi engine with lots of chrome embellishments, and a comfortable interior with a matching instrument package. Still, this is a classic hot rod with a chop top, fast engine, hard ride, and plenty of loud rumble to let everybody know you've arrived. Let's talk to Bill now about his 1930 Ford Model A. This is Bruce with his 1930 Ford Model A. And it caught my eye because of the ghost flames and the grill, and it's a really cool looking ride. So let's let Bruce tell us about it.
Hey, it's a original Henry steel 1930 body. We put a 34 grill on it. just because it's a hot rod, we have a 417 blown nitrous Hemi sitting here. It's rude, it's crude, it's obnoxious, and puts you a huge smile on your face. If you don't break your neck while you're driving it, because, I mean, it'll bounce you around like a rattle can. But it's a riot, and love this way better than the new style hot rods. You know, the Mustangs and whatnot are fun, but this is real.
Bruce, that's like the best description anybody gave in their car in my entire career. That was spectacular. So how long have you had this?
I've had this about 4 years. I bought it when it was pretty much built, but like all hot rods, you never stop working on it. I've rebuilt most of it. Other stuff I want to rebuild. So I always have a long list in my head. It's never done.
They're absolutely never done. I'm seeing disc brakes on it. Were those on there?
The guy that built it originally, yeah, we got Willwood disc brakes all the way around, but there's no vacuum assist, so you got to stand on it in order to stop. But it'll actually stop pretty well.
And that's important. Safety is important, and drivability is important. That's something that a lot of people are starting to recognize these days as cars are getting faster. Did you do the paint job, or was that there?
That was also there. I'm not a sheet metal or a paint guy. I'll do everything else, but the sheet metal and paint, I have no interest in doing that. But that was done on there, and that's one of the things that really attracted to me to the car when I first saw it for sale. Is it was different, and that's what I want, is different.
Do the ghost flames change colors with the light? Because I'm seeing the roof is looking gold right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. It depends on the angle of the light and where you're standing. It'll go from the gold to almost being black, depending on the light.
Okay, so it's more of a chameleon ghost flame then, I'd say, right?
If you want to call that iridescent, changing, it is, yeah. I don't know exactly how to describe it. If you want to say chameleon, I'll go with it.
I would say it's like a chameleon turned ghost flame because it turns almost black. The car's black. What a cool looking ride. And this engine is like massive, this 417. Do you got a guesstimate how much horsepower you got?
650 to 750.
So you're keeping right up with the current cars. Those demons and GT 500s and everything I can't beat anymore.
Except you actually have to know how to drive this. It takes two hands to drive it. You have to pay attention. It's not something where you have computers controlling your traction lock or your ABS. You actually have to know how to drive.
Exactly. This is a real man's hot rod. Darn straight, no one's stealing it either because they don't know how the hell to drive it. Hey, thanks for sharing it with us and for the story.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. This 1961 Pontiac Ventura belongs to Dennis from Crystal Lake. The Pontiac Ventura was first introduced for 1960 as a new higher-priced model on Pontiac's standard full-size B-body wheelbase shared with the Catalina. Dennis with his 1961 Pontiac Ventura. You don't see Venturas very often anymore. Dennis, tell us about it.
It's a 61 Pontiac Ventura that you just said. It's got a 421 Super Duty engine in it. A lot of Butler Performance parts in the internals, and it's got the original Super Duty heads on it.
Very interesting. And is the paint original? How original is the car?
The paint job right now is 30 years old, and it's the original paint.
Very nice. How about chrome? Did you have to do anything with chrome? How long have you had it?
32 years.
You've had it 32 years. You didn't have to do anything with chrome, and those are definitely the original wheels. Those are actually, are those?
8 lug wheels, yeah.
8 lug wheels, and those are the actual wheels. Those aren't wheel covers. You just got the little hubcaps on the
Right,
top.
they're 8 lug wheels.
Wow, is that?
Those are actually the drum and everything.
Wow.
Drum is in there and everything.
See, that's not something you see anymore. So this still has its original drum brakes and all that.
Yes.
Okay, and then Joe's filming the car here. The really interesting thing is Dennis brought all these cars here. A whole line of them, from Pontiacs to Fords to more Pontiacs. Got a Corvette, got a Lincoln Continental, a few more Corvettes. Got a Buick.
Pontiacs, yeah, got a 64 Riviera out there.
And there's the one Corvette over there, that's a Indy 500 pace car?
Yes, it's a 78 pace car.
Wow, this is quite a collection. we're running out of time and out of battery and out of everything else, so we're not going to be able to talk to Dennis about all of them. Plus, we don't want to use up all his time, but we're going to definitely check him out. We'll get some footage of him. Dennis, thank you very much for at least sharing this baby with us. It's gorgeous, and I love seeing a Ventura. And we'll talk to you soon.
Okay,
this is a big show, a lot of cars to see, but we just don't have enough time to see all of them, unfortunately, just like every other show. But here we go. We got, wow, acres and acres of cars and carnival and all that. And I'm going to go ride the Tilt-A-Whirl, folks, so we'll see you at your next one. We sincerely want to thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the show. If so, please be sure to click that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. Until next time, we'll see you at the car show. Today, we're in McHenry, Illinois at the Fiesta Days car show. Fiesta Days. You know, I kind of feel like I should be wearing like a sombrero or something.
Should I put it out sideways or?
However you want.
Actually, do it this way.
Hurry.
There. Now
Okay.
you can see the taco.
Yeah, that's not quite what I had in mind.